Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the history of humanity in the Quran. He tells us where we humans came from and how we came to be. And what was the point behind our existence. So he puts all of that in perspective. And he says before the creation, before the existence of humans, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He had a conversation with the angels who were created far before human beings came into existence. Allah says to the angels, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. Allah says the meaning of these verses, and remember when your Lord told the angels, or said to the angels, I will place on earth a Khalifa. The angels responded. They said, are you going to place on earth those that will bring about corruption and will shed blood? Allah says to them, I know what you do not know. That was the conversation that happened before the creation of mankind. And that's how mankind came about to be. Then Allah created Adam. Allah created Adam and brought him into existence. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order to prove His point and demonstrate to the angels His wisdom behind creating Adam and a completely different creation than the angels. Because what the angels do is that they are obedient. They don't have a mind of their own to come up with stuff or make choices. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the angels, لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. The angels only, they never disobey Allah. And they only do what they are commanded. And that clearly indicates that the angels don't have a mind of their own. They don't have an intention of their own. Allah inspires them with something, they just do it. Allah commands them with something, they act it out. That's how the angels work, and that's how they live. And you will never find like an angel having a thought, entertaining a thought and say, okay, that's a good idea, let me just do that. They don't function that way. They don't have this capacity. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam and humanity, to give them something different than the angels, so they are a different creation. And they demonstrate the power and the capacity of Allah to create a variety, create something different, create something that will change even the dynamics of how life goes on. So Allah created Adam, and that's why when He said Khalifa, and the scholars of tafsir indicate that Khalifa shows and demonstrate choice, that humans are able to make choices. As humans, you can sit down and think of something, and an idea pops up in your mind, and you say, perfect, let me just do that. That sounds like a good idea. Angels don't do that. But Allah gave humans that capacity. And Allah also gave humans the capacity that is just an extension, an offshoot of that. The power to make choices. You have two options, you can decide and make your mind up which one to choose and which one to act upon. And that's why the angels, because they don't know what humans are. When Allah said, I'm going to place on earth a Khalifa, the angels straight away responded and they said, are you going to place on earth those who will create corruption and shed blood? How did they know that? How did they know that? They knew it from the word Khalifa. Because they know everything can be set right by following the commands of Allah. And that's what the angels do. That's what the sun does. That's what the moon does. That's what celestial bodies do. That's what the trees and the wind and everything in creation, that's what they do. They just do what Allah commands them. They don't have a mind of their own. But Allah says, I'm going to make a creation, place on earth a creation that will be able to make choices. And it has a mind of its own. It can come up with ideas, with capacities you angels cannot improvise. That's a capacity of humans that angels and other creation don't have. You can improvise. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَعَلَّمْ afterwards, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا ثُمَّ عَرَضَهُمْ عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ فَقَالَ أَنْبِئُونِي بِأَسْمَاءِ هَؤُلَاءِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ قَالُوا لَا عِلْمَ لَنَا إِلَّا مَا عَلَّمْتَنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَلِيمُ الْحَكِيمُ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam the names of everything. And the scholars have differed with regards to what specifically that means. Is it the specific names of things like a horse, sky, earth, a tree? Just give them the names and the labels? Some scholars said that, but some other scholars said no, it's the capacity to create names for things, to be able to label things, and to be able to be introduced to new things and figure them out on your own. And that's what humans do. And that's why when Allah sent them down to earth, they had to learn how life on earth works out. They have the capacity now to learn new things, to improvise, to come up with new ideas, to create inventions and make discoveries. That's part of the special thing about humans. That's why they are Khalifa. The angels cannot do that. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after He taught Adam this capacity, He said to the angels, name these things. Angels could not name things because they couldn't come up with labels. They can only deal with what they have been taught. They don't have this capacity for improvisation, to learn on their own. So when Allah said, name these things, they said, Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. They said, we only know what you have taught us. We cannot, if you haven't taught us these names, we couldn't name them. We don't know what these things are. And we don't have the capacity to come up with names and labels and try to figure them out on our own. Then Allah said to Adam alayhi salam, He said, قَالَ يَا آدَمُ أَنْبِئْهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ. He said, Adam, told them about the names of these things. Adam displayed that capacity. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the angels, قال يا آدم أنبئهم بأسمائهم فلما أنبأهم بأسمائهم قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم غيب السماوات والأرض وأعلم ما تبدون وما كنتم تكتمون. Allah said to the angels when Adam showed that capacity to name these things and label them and figure them out, Allah said to the angels, didn't I tell you that I know what you reveal? I know everything in the heavens and the earth, and I know what you reveal and what you conceal. I know that. Because Allah is responding to the first statement when they said, are you going to create a creation that will bring about corruption and shed blood? Allah demonstrated the answer to them by showing that capacity of Adam. Yes, that capacity might mean corruption and bloodshed, but it also means something else. That there is a creation that will worship Allah on their own, by their own choice. Not because they are inspired. Angels cannot disbelieve. They don't have that capacity. They don't have that capacity. They can only worship Allah. They can only obey Allah. They can't even think of a sin. They can't entertain the thought of a sin. They can't do that. So Allah wanted to create a creation that is able on its own to decide to worship Allah. Proactively choose to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against all the odds. Against all this, the complexity of this machine that is the mind, that can come up with ideas, strange ideas. And there's no shortage of ideas throughout the human history. Look at the philosophies. Look at the ideologies that have been created. In every direction you find people coming up with ideas. Some of them are reasonable, some of them are strange and weird and completely off. Humans are able to come up with ideas, but the challenge for humans will be, this is a luxury, and this is a privilege, and this is a right that other creatures were not given. But what comes with rights is responsibility. Angels just worship Allah. They have no choice. So for them there is no paradise or hellfire, because they don't have choice. There's no punishment for them, and there is no reward in the sense of paradise for them. But Allah created humans and He gave them something more than He gave to the angels. You can choose. You can choose what to do. You can come up with ideas. Are you going to follow the guidance of Allah, or are you going to choose something else? Choose. That's a luxury. That's a right the angels were not given. That's a privilege other creatures were not given. But it comes with the other side of the coin, responsibility. We gave you that luxury, that right, that entitlement to my choices, and rights and privileges come with responsibility and accountability. How are you going to use it? You use it right, you get more privilege, you get reward in paradise. You abuse it at your own risk. At your own risk. Because if you abuse that, and you will be given the time to abuse it, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأُمْلِي لَهُمْ, and I will give them space and time. You will abuse that, but Allah will give you time. He will not take you out straight away. But if you do that, what will happen? You'll be doomed. You'll be punished. And it could be eternal. That's the capacity of mankind and of humans. And that's the balance that we need in life. So that's a beautiful principle, one of the main principles in Islam about the balance between rights and responsibilities. And I don't say obligations, because obligations is right, but it's limited. Everything in this world should have this balance in order to function right. Rights and responsibilities, they are the same thing, but it's a different perspective. If you look at it from this side, you will see rights. If you look at it from the other side, you will see responsibilities. And this is why you cannot take rights without responsibilities. And there should be no responsibility without rights. And this applies across the board. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places us in this world. And by the way, the story unfolds in that exact way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He enters Adam into Jannah after giving him his wife. وَقُلْنَا يَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجُكَ الْجَنَّةِ وَكُلَا مِنْهَا رَغَدًا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Adam rights now. Rights. What are the rights? You enter Jannah with everything in Jannah, and you eat from whatever you want. You can do whatever you want now. Whatever you wish for, whatever you like, you go and approach it and you take it, and it's yours. But that's a lot of right. That's a lot of good things. That's a lot of choice. And it has to come with the other side, and that's what? Responsibility. And that's why Allah placed on Adam a responsibility, and do not come near that tree. Because without obligations and without responsibilities and without restrictions, rights will lead to corruption. Luxuries will lead to corruption. You give someone more power without responsibility, they will ruin themselves and destroy others. They have to go hand in hand. So Allah put Adam in paradise, and because He gave him so much right, He also gave him the other side of the coin, and that was responsibility. It's not about the tree, by the way. It's not about the tree. It's about how I gave you all of that luxury, and I gave you the choice. And you have to take the other side of the coin, and that's how are you going to use that choice. So to test you, I'm going to say, don't eat from that tree. Don't come near that tree. And that was the point behind the tree.